I literally just wiped dirt off my face. Yeah, that's just by changing a wheel. Goodness. Well, not changing it, actually just removing it, which is even worse. Okay, so we are back at it again. Today we are removing the driver's side drive axle in the Fiesta ST. So the inner CV is giving us a problem since the last time when it actually popped out. I was never happy with the sound of the bearings turning. They call it basically like a tripod. I'll show you guys. So it's got like bearings turning around it. I was never happy. One of them sounded very bad. So I started to get this bad screech in the car, only at like really low turning rates. When you drive fast, you don't hear it. So basically it's like, they call it a three-pod. It's basically like the legs of this part of a year. Obviously it's just a little bit closer, so yeah, something like that. So as it's turning, let's say it's the thumb that's giving the problem. So as it's turning to a certain point, it keeps on making like a scratching noise. So I was just very unhappy with it. I knew I had to, take it out and set it in for repairs and stuff. Unfortunately, with the Fiestas, the inner CVs, you can't, oh gosh, that wind, jeez. The inner CVs, you can't buy them separately. You literally have to go and buy the whole new drive shaft. Unless you can get like a company that can actually work on it for you and have a look. So there's a big chance I might actually have to buy a new drive shaft. Imagine that, I'll poop myself. That's very expensive. But we're gonna send it in and see if they can actually repair it. So this video is going to be all about removing the drive shaft in the car. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to remove the knuckle. I want to go change the wheel bearing. Back then when I did the front right suspension, I wanted to change the bearing as well, but I actually never did it. So I just decided now that I'm going to remove everything, I'm just going to remove the knuckle as well. So I'll be doing that in this video as well. So there's knuckle remover and drive shaft to remove. Okay, so let's quickly just zoom in a little bit. Right over here, this is the drive shaft. The inner CV is there, so we need to remove the entire inner drive shaft. We're gonna have to loosen this bolt over here. At the back is literally, you won't believe it, but you see one of these clamps over here is there at the back as well. Basically, that's the only thing holding the rubber to the inner part, like inner shaft going to the gearbox. So basically, this whole thing basically needs to come forward, so we're gonna have to loosen it down here at the ball joint as well. It's actually a massively big step. We're gonna start off with the basics first. We're gonna remove this nut over here. Then we know the drive shaft is actually loose, it's just being held in by a clamp. Then we can go and loosen all the other things. If we loosen this one last, when we loosen the lower control arm, and I'm even maybe gonna have to take out the shock as well, because as soon as I loosen everything, it's just gonna kick out, so, and then turn and twist and all of that, so we don't want that. So we're most likely going to remove the shock as well for the knuckle. Okay, but anyway, if you're just going to change the drive shaft, you don't have to, well, damn it. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, you can loosen it and tilt the entire brake, the knuckle and the brake disc and everything forward. But yeah, like I said, this shock might actually kick out to direction. Just make sure you loosen the sway bar. But yeah, what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to remove the drive shaft and the knuckle because I want to change the wheel bearing on the inside. So yeah, you'll just have to work around. Maybe if you just want to remove the drive shaft, you can leave the shock in. Maybe just remove this end link over here so it doesn't twist and bend and get damaged or anything like that. The first thing we're going to do is just add some WD-40 over here. Just make sure everything gets loose. Also, I did put a cloth down there. So wow, look at how dirty it is. That's crazy. Anyway, so then we're gonna loosen this bolt. So basically what I did was, I've got a 32 socket over here with a small extension, because obviously if you put it in, just how can I explain it to you guys? So if you do look here, it actually moves the bar away from the side of the body, so that when you turn it, you don't actually scratch your car's body or whatsoever. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is remove this end link bolt over here. We're not going to remove it at the bottom because basically we can just swing it to the side. We're not going to remove the sway bar or anything like that. So for this we're going to need a 15 spanner. Okay, so basically now that we have loosened it, we've got to use this Allen key right over here into this small Allen key hole over here. So basically what this is, it is just the sway bar, the shaft coming through the shock over here. So it's to keep it still, and then to turn, you can either turn the Allen key or you can turn the spanner. I'd rather prefer to turn the spanner, so you turn the bolt while you hold the Allen key still. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I've loosened the bolt. What we're going to do now is push it out. But as you can see, it's actually on a down angle. Whew. Sorry, a little bit out of breath there. This jack I just went to go fetch now. It's pretty heavy on a weird angle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press it against the bottom, the lower control arm. So it can actually lift the entire suspension up so that we can be able to push it out. So let me quickly put it back on the stand. So what we did was we basically moved the end link to the left. We kept its bolt on there so that we don't lose it. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the caliper. So what I'm basically trying to do is I'm trying to remove all the nitty gritty stuff holding onto the main structure, such as this, because the end link, obviously, like I said, as soon as it kicks out, it's going to bend it and damage the threads in that. Even if we remove the shock now, basically this whole part here is just going to be like wiggly and want to fall off and all of that. So it's better to actually go and remove the brake caliper now, because you don't want to put any tension onto the brake line. See the brake line running over there. And so yeah, we're going to quickly remove the brake caliper and the brake bracket. So what we're going to do is remove the caliper first. Let me quickly put my flashlight on. There we go. So if we want to remove the caliper, just know that this is the caliper, this is the caliper bracket. So to remove the caliper, we're going to remove bolt number 1, which is here at the back, and then bolt number 2. So one thing I just want to quickly explain to you guys, whenever you loosen this bolt over here, you got to tighten the bolt here on the inside. So loosen here, hold it still here while it turns out. Otherwise, this whole tube mechanism thing, everything will turn here, and you'll just turn for the rest of your life. And then, sorry, let me come back. And then to change the bracket, you just follow it down here. Let's see, bolt number 1 and bolt number 2. So for this, we're gonna use a 13 millimeter socket with a ratchet to go here in the back. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna hit it so we can feel it starting to move. Then we know the most part of the tension is out. This one over here is an 18 spanner. Unfortunately, I don't have an 18 spanner. Let me just kind of move the camera a little bit up. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a water pump plier. Yeah, just watch out, they can damage the bolts, so be very careful when using them. Also, just make sure you don't press on this rubber over here. I hope you guys can see. So there's a rubber over here, don't press on it, make sure you press on the bolt area. Oh yeah, also don't remove the bolt the entire way. I'm just going to screw it in a little bit, because what's going to happen is as soon as you're trying to loosen the bottom one, this whole caliper is going to want to like fall out. So just keep it in there for sturdy. It's just turned in a little bit by hand. Let's go and remove the bottom one. Oh yeah, and before I forget, the brake line runs up here. It starts in here with a 10 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it seems to be a 10. We're just gonna go and loosen that real quick. Sorry, this camera It's got like a stand that's completely in the way. So as you can see, I put the brake caliper here on an empty liquid moly drum, so there is no tension, like absolutely no tension on this line. Just the bottle just to elevate it a little bit, so I will close this with a cloth. But yeah, everything still seems to be pretty good. So now we're gonna go and remove the bracket. Also remember to take the brake pads out. Here comes the front one. So this one is still good and beefy. I did change them recently. Here's the second one. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we are gonna remove this bolt over here. This is your steering column, basically. This is the thing that when you turn your steering wheel, that turns your entire tire to the left and to the right. So basically it works the exact same as the end link over here. You're gonna put an Allen key in there while you turn this outside piece loose. It's gonna be very difficult to get you guys a proper video of this, but yeah, I'll try my best. Okay, so this was good news for me, but also it's not the best news. So basically I got the bolt loosened without even putting the Allen key in here at the top. Let me quickly see if I can move a bit, you guys a little bit closer. Yeah, without putting the Allen key in there, which means that maybe it's just the angle of the suspension that I've jacked it up is actually holding it tight so it couldn't turn. So now we're gonna have to get this piece out, and I think to actually drop the suspension is going to be a little bit of a better idea. So what I'm going to do is grab the jack over here. We're going to turn it slowly. I just want to keep an eye here. Okay, so I think the best will probably be is to lean this entire mount a bit forward. It will come straight out because currently now it's a little bit skew. So I don't want to like hammer it down and damage the threads or anything. I don't want to change this whole, steering column link as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it for now. What I am going to do is take the brake disc off. Okay, so our wheel bearing is basically in here, so we're making some really good progress. This is our hub over here. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and loosen the shock up here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is remove bolt 1, bolt 2, bolt 3. This is basically holding our shock in the top part of the engine bay. So the reason why I'm loosening them first is because if I loosen the ones at the bottom, it will straight kick out one side. So I'll rather have a looser because remember, the shock is basically expanding now. So even though the bolt is loosened at the top, it's still going to be one piece inside. So as soon as I loosen the bolt at the bottom and it wants to kick out, I can just lead it and take the front shock out completely. So the whole strut. So let me quickly loosen those. It's very difficult to loosen them. We've got a 13. Oh, sorry, a 10. No, it's not a 10. It's a 13. I brought the wrong one. We're gonna use a 10 the spanner to loosen all 3 of those bolts. 1, 2, and 3. Wow, that was a crap job. I even took, as you guys saw, I didn't do it with gloves. It's so that I can just feel the screws so that when they fall, I can just hold better to them and that. Crappy job, space is so little, I actually have like a cramp in my right hand. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the suspension up here. We've got two bolts to loosen. Do note for this, where did I put it? Over here. So for this, we're gonna need an 18 socket for the one side and if I'm not mistaken, it's a 15, let me just make sure, 16 socket for the other side. So basically you're gonna hold the one side still while you're gonna loosen on the other side. Also do note, we do have the ABS sensor over here. So this actually just clips out. Let me just see if I can get it a little bit closer to you for you guys. So right over here, it just pulls out, and here at the bottom, you can just hold it and pull it out. So yeah, just make sure, because when you do remove the shock, like I told you guys, it might kick to a side. So just have this loosened so it doesn't break this ABS line. Oh yeah, mission successful. So we're gonna place, whew, that was also a struggle. It is pretty heavy, very awkward position to work in, but we are getting some good progress going. Alright, so we are basically almost done. So currently we still have got the steering column we're gonna remove. It's just gonna be easy. Just for now, I put that bolt there. We quickly actually went to go get some Sunday lunch. So yeah, the one thing I should have removed earlier is this ABS sensor over here. There's the bolt right over there. Looks to be like a 10 mil. Obviously, even with it being sideways, as you guys can see, there's no tension on the line. It's just one of those nitty gritty stuff I was talking about. That's not a 10. That's like an 8 or something. Okay, so we will remove that one soon. So we're still gonna remove this one. Also, I just want to tell you guys that I saw while we were sitting there, accidentally, for some reason, never recorded myself removing this bolt over here. As you guys can see, sorry, I can just pull this bolt straight out. So this is our lower control arm. This is our bolt joint, which goes up into the back, and this bolt goes sideways over there. So I accidentally removed it. Forgot to completely make a video. Well, I think I forgot to press record or something, whatever it is. So yeah, it's loosened over here. So as you guys can see, it goes up to over there. So this entire knuckle can just be lifted up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove that bolt over there. We're going to remove the steering column, and then basically this whole thing can just lift up. Then for this brake plate over here, there's two bolts. One, is there two or three? One, looks like two, and three bolts. So then we can remove that, but we can remove that once the entire knuckle is out. Okay, so I was able to get the steering column rods out of the way. So they were pretty stuck. I had to hit it with a hammer on top. So what I'm gonna do now is remove the knuckle. As simple as that. So the wheel bearing right over there, you guys can see it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is quickly remove this plate over here. So it's just the ratchet of the 8 socket piece, sorry. Okay, so there is 3 bolts. Okay, so now it's time to talk a little bit about the inner CV, which is this one. This one goes into your wheel hub. So this is your outer CV and this is your inner CV. So like I told you guys, this boot is actually clamped down to your gearbox shaft, the shaft that goes into your gearbox. So it has got a tripod, 1, 2, 3. So basically these can actually come out. Oh, well that ain't good, that one just fell. Alright, so I'm quickly just cleaning it up. So this is how it looks like. We're just going to put that cloth there. So this is the tripod that I was talking about. So in the middle piece, that piece can actually stay still, if you guys can see, while the outside part turns. So basically what happens is it is situated onto your drive shaft. So as the middle one, so let's say as your car is actually like going up and down, the inner rotation is different than the outer rotation of your axle. So yeah, that's basically what happens. So one of them I wasn't very happy with. Look, this one it just fell in. Let's quickly get it out. So yeah, they shouldn't come out so darn easy. Like this one, I'm struggling to get it back in. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, they all should turn. They have to be in there. So that's why they call them a tripod. And so this one goes over there. So they basically go into the drive shaft, into the shaft going to the gearbox, and it just like turns as you're going. So tomorrow I'm gonna have this looked at to see if they can just change the bearings maybe, if possible, or if I'm gonna have to buy a new complete drive shaft. Let's not hope so. Then also I've got a wheel bearing over there for the hub, which will also change tomorrow. So for now, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow again. For you, it has been a second. For me, it has been 5 days. So this is where we're still at. We're actually a little bit worse off now. There's something that changed here. Do you guys see it? I mean, why is there so many rags underneath all of a sudden? Why is there a drum, and what is that cloth hanging there? Yeah, let me show you guys quick. All right, it's this. All right, so basically we actually took this part out of the car, so we left this part hanging. You guys saw it had like the grease. So this is the inner CV that goes into the shaft, and this shaft goes into the gearbox. So yeah, they said when I took my inner CV in so they can check it out, they need this shaft as well, because what happens is the inner CV that goes inside of it, when it turns, it's got like that tripod I told you guys. So as the wheels turn, it actually like scuffs the inside of this shaft. So they had to go and polish it out and make sure everything is okay, because they can tell me, yeah, this is fine, but then you put it in here and the same problem is just going to be there, because it might have like a scratch mark or something on the inside, you know. So anyway, they had to service this. They just basically, once they cleaned everything out, greased everything, polished everything, did what they had to do, they just plugged it back in, they clamped it. So yeah, now let's quickly talk about this shaft, how we got it out before. It's like super easy. So right over here, we've got like a bearing that can move. So it's got like a clamp that goes over it with 2 bolts. You just loosen those 2 bolts and you pull it out. There is nothing over here holding it in. Nothing. So yeah, it's actually kind of scary, eh? So yeah, there was literally just like a bracket that goes over it, holds the bearing and able to turn. That's it. So what we got as well is we got this part over here. So this is a new seal. Here's the code. If you guys are gonna do this as well. So this seal basically goes over till this point over here, where it sits on this middle piece over here. So that is just like a new seal, so that your gearbox oil doesn't leak out whenever you don't, let's say you don't change this thing and it's worn out, you're gonna put your new shaft in. Yeah, as soon as it turns, it's gonna leak oil out. So I just told myself, no, let me just get a new seal, then I know that is done as well. And yeah, you guys did hear properly. Gearbox oil, oh my gosh. So when you're removing this, basically so much of your gearbox oil will actually spill out. So I had to go buy a new gearbox oil, so that's going to be another video. Oh my gosh, it's just expenses on expenses on expenses. Also, I had a new wheel hub, which wasn't planned. So we changed the bearing. And when they removed the old wheel hub, they saw that there was wear and tear, so they had to press in a new wheel hub for me and a new bearing. So hopefully this, it wasn't actually necessary to change the previous one. It's probably my own fault then, but I just told myself while it's out, let's just change it. I'm not gonna freaking do all of this again. So yeah, we're probably gonna have to jack the car up a little bit more. I'll see if I can do that because I have to get in and put this seal in, and already as it is, there's hardly any space. Alright, so we're quickly going to go in underneath. I try to jack the car up. Basically, the jack is all the way to its max position. Okay, let's quickly try to get underneath. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit shaky, but I quickly want to show you guys everything. So, my belly is too fat for this. Okay, so let me quickly put the flash on. There we go. So this is where the drive shaft goes into the gearbox. I don't know if there's oil going to spill out, at least not. So there is the seal. I've got to remove this seal over here. And then if we quickly follow it through, let's go. Okay, now I can't see on the phone. There is the bracket that holds it that I told you guys about. So basically I just loosened it. I don't even take it off, I just loosened it and then it just slides straight out. So yeah, basically what we're going to try to do now is we're going to remove the seal. I wonder if I can just pull out. Okay, so now you guys can see we slide it into place. It's in the whole way. If we go over here, here is the bracket where the clamp is. What we're going to do is I'm quickly tightening it a little bit by hand on the back. Doesn't want to go any further, so we're going to take our 13 socket with our ratchet. We're going to start by this bolt over here. The space is so little here, it's really not easy. Okay, so we are making some progress. The drive shaft is in to the gearbox. The other drive shaft is fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to put the knuckle on. So basically we're going to put the drive shaft through it. We're going to put, there's the ball joint over here on the lower control arm. So we're going to put the knuckle in, we're going to put the drive shaft in, and then we can start to go and tighten everything down. So because you guys have seen how I've taken it off, I'm basically going to speed this spot up a little bit just to show you guys what I do. But basically everything we did, we're just going to reverse it now. Alright, so we are basically done with the assembling of everything. I just quickly want to go over it with you guys. I just want to let you know that the assembling part was very, very short. Yeah, basically, I've got this new mic for my camera. It's actually for my phone. It plugs into your phone. It's got like this nice freaking stand, so basically I can put the phone down, get proper still footage in that. The wind used to bother me, so now I've got like a mic that plugs into the aux. I've noticed for some reason multiple times when I'll press the record button and I actually do what I need to do, when I come back I see that, well, I never stopped the recording. Why is it stopped? So yeah, I think there's some footage lost, and as a disclaimer, it's not footage of stripping everything out, and that is literally now with the assembling part. I don't know if it's finally starting to pack up, which is weird. I only have it for like 1 or 2 months now. So alright, so let's quickly go over all the things we used to work on the whole suspension basically of the Fiesta ST. So I try to keep everything as sorted out as possible, and these are the things that we came across. Alright, let's start here from the top. WD-40 to get the bolts loose. We have got that massive pipe over there. So basically, when you look at the suspension, the big nut, it was just to help us break it free. We used that with this breaker bar over here. Imagine we got a breaker bar and we needed to use a breaker bar pipe to just get it loose. And also this is a 32 over here. Going over, we're gonna have some cleaning rack. Obviously those are just the bolts for the wheel nuts. We've got a jack, so this is just to obviously keep, or well, to lift your knuckle up so it doesn't drop so far and so difficult to work on it. Obviously it helps you to press the whole suspension back up to put your sway bar end link in. Going over, we have got some engine degreaser over here. So basically I reused the bolts, so I let the bolts lay in here for a bit. Obviously the previous Loctite, some of them were still onto the bolts. If you leave it in degreaser for even 20 seconds, but for mine I left it for about a minute or so. So then I just used this small flat over here, basically just to scrape all that Loctite out of the nuts so we can put on some new Loctite. We got a hammer, just, you know, just to loosen things a little bit, to try and get the freaking outer tie rod out, and then we damaged it. But anyway, we got a pair of gloves then. Over here, I don't have an 18 spanner, so like in my brake video, I used this, but please get an 18 spanner. I just left this here to remember, I gotta tell you guys, you need an 18. So here we got our G-clamp. This is basically to press back your caliper piston inside your caliper. Over here I broke my 5 Allen key, imagine that. So I've got one of these 5 Allen key, size 5 Allen key sockets that goes onto the small wrench to help and get it loose. Okay, so here we got a small wrench, the medium wrench, and we got the long extension for the small wrench, the small and the long extension for the bigger wrench. So if we quickly go over here, we've got an 18mm, 17mm, 16, 15, 14, and I think this is the last big one, 13mm, and this, from this side it goes over to the smaller socket. So you guys might actually notice that some of the sizes in the smaller ones is the same sizes as the bigger ones, same sizes as all of these spanners. Sometimes I just interchange a bit to make the job a bit easier. Instead of having like a big ratchet there or a massive spanner, we can just have like a small socket of a ratchet of a socket. Over here we've got a 13, 12, 10, another 10. For what reason I actually don't know. Is this, oh, this, sorry, so this one is for the medium sized socket, and then anyway a 10, and this is a 8. All right, so if we quickly go over here, basically if you guys look over here, we've got an 18. So where I could have used this one, I'd rather use the 18 here than the 18 well, not an 18, the water pump plier. Over here I used the size 15 on it. Over here we've got, okay, let's go, size 13, size 15, 17, 19, 20, and 21, and the last one 22. So I don't think I actually used the 21, to be honest. Yeah, I think I did not use the 21. I used the 22 and the 20. So yeah, just this one, I think I tried the size, I just never put it back, so excuse this one, but if you have it, perfect. Alright, and then obviously I used this rolling bed, you know, just to get it easier underneath the car and out and all of those things. And there we go. We completed the installation. I just haven't put on the new wheel yet. I'm still gonna make another video quickly on how to change the gearbox oil in your Fiesta ST. So if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out soon. Also, if you guys do see there, the sun is actually coming out. I'm so happy. I just really gotta go and buy a few more things for the gearbox oil change. But anyway, I'm super happy. There we go. Please do take note that when you're driving with your car and you worked on a suspension, it's very, very dangerous. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, and I mean, literally, remember, let's say you drive 100 kilometers per hour, and for whatever reason you didn't tighten a bolt and your whole suspension just drops or something happens. I mean, that's a bad accident. You're putting yourself at risk and other people at risk. So please make sure, if you are unsure or very scared of what you're doing, rather pay that extra few bucks to have someone look at it for you, and that way you know everything will be fine afterwards. But anyway, guys, I'm going to drop this video right over here. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope it was informative, educational, and entertaining in that order as well. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be one hell of a video to edit. But anyway, guys, I'm going to drop it right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you legends in the next one.